Okay, do you have the audio there?
Welcome. We have a very full tutorial, so let's get started. This tutorial is presented by two instructors. First, Kevin Noberman has been in the industry for almost 3 decades, and in the peering coordinator community for over a decade. And, as for me, my name is Bill Norton, and I have been working with peering coordinators for the last 10 years or so. So we are a couple of the internet graybeards. You can laugh and applaud now. Ha. 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 Kevin and I have assembled some material intended to provide a high-level overview of the topic of internet peering, along with some on-the-ground experience that should prove illustrative of the peering coordinator job. This is Peering 101. Let's get started. But first, Bill tells me I have to introduce him with an amusing story. This guy sits down at a bar and hears a voice say, "Hey, I like those shoes." He turns around but no one but the bartender is around. He hears the voice say, "I like your shirt." He looks around again, but no one else is in the bar. He hears the voice say, "Like your haircut too." He looks around, and still no one else is in the bar. He calls over the bartender and explains what he is hearing. The bartender smiles and explains, "It is the peanuts. They're complimentary." Ha. 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 Bill, let's get started.
Okay, I tried something new. Maybe it didn't work. Okay, thank you very much. Well, today Kevin and I have put together a presentation that is really a Peering 101 talk. At the end of this talk, you will understand specifically what the definitions of transit are, what the definition of internet peering is, and to some extent, some of the evolutions that we've seen in the peering ecosystem, particularly between the Tier 1s, Tier 2s, and content providers over the last 5 years or so. We split this up into essentially 4 sections. The first section will be introducing to you the definitions used in the trade for internet transit and internet peering. Then we're going to go on and apply those definitions, and there will in fact be a quiz to, again, test the definitions in your mind. One of the things that I found in delivering this material over the years is it's very easy to sit there and listen and maybe pick up some of the stuff, but until you actually are asked questions and have to process it in your mind and then regurgitate and answer back, does it actually get firmly into your mind. Then Kevin will take over and talk a little bit about some of the non-financial, the more really down on the ground type of experience level expertise that he's accumulated over the past couple of decades doing this stuff. And if we have time, is anyone here interested in talking about internet exchange points? Okay, a couple folks. Well, I could talk about internet exchange points for hours. And if there's time, we could do that here. If there's not time, then let's circle up somewhere and open up a conversation among those who are interested in talking about that stuff. So, who am I? Who's this guy, Bill Norton? I initially worked at Merit Networks for 11 years. Betty shared an office with me. Remember way back then? And during those 11 years, one of the things I was tasked with doing was coming up with a business case and the business plan for NANOG, for this event. The question was, how do we get this thing funded through registration fees and all that kind of stuff? After 11 years at Merit, I finished up my MBA and went to help found Equinix. My official title was co-founder and chief technical liaison. And in that role, I worked with the peering coordinators to help facilitate their interaction. So a lot of the data that you're going to hear today comes from the 9 or so years of experience that I had working with the peering community at Equinix. Probably most people know me from the internet white papers that I've authored with the community that are really a public source of information about peering and internet operations and how that all works. Back in May of last year, I retired. I cashed out my stock, and just before the collapse of the economy, so it actually timed out about right. But first, I think, so you know where I'm coming from, let me say a few words about the Internet white papers that are freely available for you to download. One thing I noticed back in 1998 was that there were lots of documents describing protocols and specific hardware technologies and how those work, routing algorithms and convergence and that kind of stuff. But at that time, nobody had documented the peering process. How does it work? How do you find out who to peer with? How do you choose whether to peer at exchange points or use point-to-point circuits? And that kind of operations activities. So I took it upon myself to ask some of the smartest people in the world, like Ren Provo and Dan Golding and Patrick Avi Friedman and a variety of folks. And I documented what they said in the form of a white paper, and over lunches I would walk other folks through that white paper and see what they said. And Randy Whitney would say, that's kind of how it works, but you need to modify this. Or Vince Fuller would say, at Genuity, we don't actually look at that, we look at this. So through a series of stepwise refinements over a period of 100 walkthroughs, the white paper evolved until it pretty much represented the mindset of the community for a particular operations topic. So I did the same thing again and again and again with different operations issues that people thought in the Internet circle that we all travel in were critical issues to document, things that had never been documented before. So all these white papers are freely available. They're taught at universities around the world. You can search for my name, William B. Norton, and you'll find all these things popping up at university websites and such, and they're free. Download them, take a look at them. There's a lot of knowledge really culled from the field here in these white papers. So I encourage you to take a look at those. So let's take a look at the very first one, the very basic definitions of peering in transit. First, understand that, of course, the Internet is a network of networks. And as such, an Internet service provider, by definition, sells access to the global Internet, so must himself get connected up to somebody who's already attached to the global Internet. He does that in one of a couple of ways. There's a service called transit, which is defined as a business relationship whereby one ISP purchases access to the global Internet. It's typically a metered service.